Hi everyone, welcome back to our new tutorial. So from this tutorial we will be learning about the C language. Okay, so let's dive into the what is about the C programming. Okay, this we are going to talk about the C programming. So basically C programming क्या है, उससे पहले हम लोग कुछ इंट्रोडक्शन से इसका पार्ट देख लेंगे एंड वी विल टॉक अबाउट द लैंग्वेज. लैंग्वेज बेसिकली है क्या. सो लैंग्वेज को हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं. लैंग्वेज इज़ नथिंग बट इट इज़ अ वे ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन. लैंग्वेज इज़ टू कम्युनिकेट. हम लोग कम्युनिकेट करने के लिए करते हैं. जैसे लाइक वे जस्ट राइट नाउ आई एम कम्युनिकेटिंग. सो राइट नाउ आई एम कम्युनिकेटिंग इन इंग्लिश. Okay, so this is a language. Okay, some people will communicate in Telugu, so that is nothing but your way of communication. That person is communicating with a language, a specific language called a Telugu, right? So this is called the language. Language is nothing but is to communicate, and the communication is a process of transformation data between the objects. And for example, you can take it as a Hindi and English. So now let's talk about the programming language. What is this programming language? So programming language is nothing but it is a predefined application software. It is a predefined application software. So now we will see the need of computer language. So need of computer language, what is that? So if we need to communicate with the machine, okay, to perform complex operation, if we want to perform a complex operations in an easy way, we will communicate with the machine. Okay, we cannot directly pass machine understandable instructions to communicate. We cannot directly interact with the machines. Okay, we cannot directly pass, we call that as a machine understandable instruction. देखिए, machine understand nothing but different language, human being understand nothing but a different language. Okay, so we cannot direct pass the machine understandable instructions to communicate. So we need a high level language. So we need a high level language to communicate. Okay, and machine cannot understand source code. Machine cannot understand the source code. What is this source code? What is this high level language? We will see. Okay, so basically there is a compiler. It is a predefined program that translates your source code into the machine code, that converts your source code into the machine code. That is called the compiler. We call it as a compiler. Okay, now moving further, we can see that see, this is somehow this is a programmer. Okay, now programmer is writing some of the code, right? Some of the code using some language, some called programming languages, using programming languages. So now he cannot pass instructions into machine language to communicate. This is a machine. Okay, he cannot pass the instructions were set of rules, we can say that. Okay, he cannot pass instructions in machine language to communicate. So what he will do, he will use some of the programming language, like we can say it as a Java, Ruby on Rails, C#, or we can say that the PHP. Okay, PHP, C++, Python, Perl, C language, Java and Golang. So he can use any programming language. Okay, now after that what we will do, he will write some of the program. Just consider he had written in C language, right? He had written in C language. Now he had passed the sum of the instructions, and this is called nothing but source code. We call it as a what? Source code. Okay, now this source code is converted into machine code using the compiler. This source code gets converted into the machine code. Okay, machine code. Now after that it will generate some of the binary files, and they will enter into the input, and they can input into the computer, and the computer will understand its instructions. So this is the path that follows when we used to communicate with the computer system. If you want to suppose that if you want to calculate the nothing but factorial of 5. Okay, if you want to calculate the factorial of 5, so you can calculate it as easily. Okay, you can calculate it as easily. What called 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, and we get the value. Okay, if you want to calculate the factorial of 100, how we can calculate? Okay, how we can calculate? So when we calculate the factorial of 5, we get like this type. Okay, we got the value 120. If you want to calculate the factorial of 100, so it's a big task, it's a complex task. Okay, it's a complex task. So if we pass some of the instructions to the computer that find the factorial of 5, then the answer which we will get, we can get easily. Okay, so what is the scene behind this, what is happening? So use a programming language, any language, we write some of the code that is called a source code, and after that then that code is converted into the machine code using some of the compiler. Okay, that generates some of the binary files, and that's get into the computer and we get the exact value. So this is the sum of the case scenarios behind any the programming languages. Okay, so some of the programming language use compiler, some of the programming language use the interpreter. We call it as nothing but at this called compiler and interpreter as a, we call it as a combinedly translator. Okay, basically they translate. Now moving further ahead, some of we should learn about the history of C language. What is that history of C language? This is important. So basically your C programming language was developed in 1972. Remember this year, this is a very important year, right? In 1972 the C programming language was developed by the famous nothing but computer scientist, we call it as a Dennis Ritchie, and it falls at the Bell Laboratories of AT&T. We call it as American Telephone and Telegraph, which is located in USA. Okay, so in that lab your Dennis Ritchie had developed the C language in 1972, and Dennis Ritchie is known as the founder of the C language. He is the founder of the C language. In some of your exams, in one marker it will ask, then we can define it, we can write the answer. Okay, we can mark the answer. Initially C language was developed to be used in the Unix operating system. Unix is an operating system. What is this operating system? So basically your Windows, some of many people of India are using the Windows, many people are using the Unix, we call it Unix, Linux. Okay, and some people are using the Mac OS. So these are nothing but this is your the operating system which is top of the hardware. So we cannot directly interact with the hardware. Okay, we cannot directly interact with the hardware. So at the top of the hardware, these are nothing but some of the we call that as a web operating system is available. Okay, and after that there is an applications available, and applications above we are available like users. So user interact with the applications OS, the applications OS, and they will interact with the hardware. Like this is the scenario. Okay, so this was the nothing but a little bit thing, so you should aware of that. So this is the history of the C language, and moving ahead, this is the important case, right? Why we should learn C language in 2021? So there are lots of programming language which are trending, which are right now like JavaScript, we can say Python, Java, like this stuff. Why we are learning C, right? This is the old days. So basically you just people be aware that C language is a mother language. We consider C language is nothing but a mother language. Why we call it as a mother language? If you learn C language, its syntax, it's all the concepts like arrays, strings, okay, structures, everything, then you can easily understand C++, Java, C#, etc. These all programming language. Okay, so C language is considered as the mother language of all the modern programming languages, because most of the compilers, your JVMs, means Java virtual machines, kernels, okay, etc., these all are written in the C language. These all are written in the C language, and your most of the programming languages which follow the C syntax is nothing but your C++, Java, C#, and some more programming language. These follow the syntaxes of the C language. Okay, now basically C language, where we use this C language. So C language is nothing but a system programming language because it can be used to do low level programming. For example, if I want to write, some of you have called a printer that is called of HP laser AMT, like sometime, okay, like this type. So basically when you connect this HP printer to your the computer system, okay, to your the computer system, this printer is not identified by this computer system. So basically we have to download the driver of this HP, okay, this HP printer, and after successful installations, this PC understands this HP and we get some of the printed copies, okay, through we can print, okay. So how? So this driver was basically written in the C language. Your IoT devices right now, these all are written in C language. These all are written in the C language, okay. So these are the some of the uses of the C language, okay. Once you learn the C language, you can master any programming language. This is the case. Once you learn the C language, then you can master any programming language, whichever you want, you can learn it, because you know all the concepts. The same concepts are there, just you have to maintain the syntax, and that's it, okay. Now this is the case why you should learn in the C language. I'm not going to talk about this in detail, some in some of the particular videos I will post it there, okay. Now this is the case, okay. Now installation part, this installation part we will see in the next video, right. And just do revise these videos and share the video, okay, and like the channel, like and share the channel, okay. Hope this session was helpful to you. If the session was helpful, please write in the comment box so that I can see that how much you people have got some of the knowledge for, in this particular session, okay. Thank you for watching this video.